Today we're going to go through how to set up Goobric to assess student writing. We're going to mainly focus on using the AZ Merit writing rubrics in our examples today, but you can use any rubric with Goobric. So first, you might be wondering, what is Goobric? Goobric's a part of Doctopus, which is an add-on created by the Cloud Lab at New Visions for Public Schools. We're going to use it with Google Sheets and Google Classroom to assess student writing. So for this to work, you need a few things set up first. You'll need Google Classroom, you'll need a student writing assignment with student work in it, and you'll need Google Sheets, and then you'll also need access to the rubric that you're going to use. So to install Goobric, you need to start with a spreadsheet. I've created a folder in my drive that I've just called Goobric Spreadsheets, where I'm going to put everything so that I can keep it and stay organized. I'm going to go in and create my Google Sheet. So I've already created my writing prompt in Google Classroom, and I do have some students that have answered the writing prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and name my sheet the same thing as my assignment in Google Classroom, just to kind of keep it all the same and help myself be organized. So that is 001 writing prompt. The next thing that I need to do is go into add-ons and go to get add-ons, because I want to add the Doctopus add-on because Goobric is a part of Doctopus. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to search my add-ons, but I can actually see it right down here. Here's Doctopus by New Visions for Public Schools. So I'm just going to click on that, click on free, and it's going to go through installing it into my Google Sheets. Now this part you'll only have to do once. Every time after this, when you go into Google Sheets, it's going to be in there as an add-on. Now that I've allowed Doctopus access to my drive, it brings up on the right-hand side here this bar. That would also come up if I went into add-ons and then shows Doctopus. But for the very first time, you need to set it up a little bit. It does come up here. I'm going to click more and don't show this warning again. It's just telling me that it was not created by Google. I'm going to hit don't show this warning again. And I'm going to select my mode to be ingest a Google Classroom assignment. Using Google Classroom really streamlines the process of using Doctopus and Goobric. So I'm going to go in and choose my class, which is my Goobric class. And I'm going to select my assignment, which is my writing prompt. Now that I've selected my class and my assignment, I'm going to ingest the assignment. What this does is it just pulls it into the spreadsheet so that I can use Goobric from within there. So it pulls it in, it shows me my students' names, it gives me a link directly to that file, and then after that's finished, it will allow me to install my rubric and put that within the assignment. So like I said before, the rubrics I'm going to use are the AZ Merit writing rubric, which we use in Arizona to assess students' state writing. If you are going to use your own rubric, there are a few things you have to make sure you do. You make sure that cell A1 is blank, your numbers go across the top, and your headings go down the left side. But I'm going to go in here and attach that rubric from my drive. So something else that you need to do is make sure that you are the owner of the file in your drive. If I click on my drive, it'll let me select a spreadsheet. If you use the same rubric more than once, it's going to just show up under the recent. So I have it right here. I'm going to select it. And now there are a few options that I can put in. I can make the rubric viewable to students, which I'm going to do. I can allow self or peer assessment. I'm not going to do that one on this one. And then I'm also not going to send email notifications to students. So after that, I'm just going to attach the rubric. It does tell me that it might take a little while, but after this goes away, it is all set up and you're ready to actually start assessing with Goobric. Okay, now we're ready to actually assess using Goobric. I know this has seemed like a lot of steps, and for the first time setup, it really is, but really the other times that you go to use it, you're just going to go to add-ons, Doctopus, do setup, select the mode, and then select your classroom and your assignment, and you're going to get basically to this point where we're at right now. And then when I run it and attach my Goobric, it gives me a link to assess the document. So I'm going to click on that Goobric link, It's going to open that first student's assignment. It's going to ask me to allow my microphone. But as this first assignment comes up, it gives me my rubric across the top, and it gives me each of my points. It gives me a place to leave text comments that will end up at the bottom of the student writing. And then on the bottom here, we have the student writing. So the student writing is down here on the bottom. I can scroll down and I can read it and go through and then decide what is going to go in my rubrics. So I'm going to go up here and add my assessment into the rubrics. This is one that was already set up. Conventions and editing. And then over on the right side, I'm going to press submit. When I submit this, it goes and it adds it to the bottom of the student's writing, so they get a copy of the rubric. You can also email the student scores and then change it from can view to can comment, or you could also select auto advance on next submit. So what this does is, as you can see here, it's added the rubric to the bottom and highlighted each score for each section of the rubric. After I've graded my first students, I just hit next, and it's going to go ahead and open up the next student's writing, which then allows me to quickly go through and look at each student's writing. Again, I have their student writing on the bottom. This one is already scored for me, so I'm just going to scroll down and add these into my rubric. On this one, I'm going to turn off emailing the student and hit submit. After I've submitted, again, the rubric ends up on the bottom, and it takes me to the next student when I press the next button. So I can go through and add this rubric in for each student and grade quickly and efficiently using Goobric. So after you've assessed the student's scores in here, you might wonder, where do they actually go? They actually show up in two different places. They show up on that first Google Sheet. So if you scroll to the right on the first Google Sheet, they show up. And there's also another sheet just with the scores on it. So the rubric scores sheet, the rubric scores sheet, you can go down and look, and it gives you all of them, and if you left any comments, it'll be in there as well. So this would be a good way to be able to look at the overall scores for the entire class and look for anything that you might need to reteach, or what trends you can see throughout the entire class.